My friends all lost their minds, all twisted mouths entwined. The reach of desperate clawing arms that drag me down.
Welcome to Local Distortion. On this podcast, I'll be talking to the best up-and-coming independent artists and bands. I am your host, Daniel Kirk. My guests this week are Black Orchid Empire. Welcome to the show.
Hey, how you doing?
So would you like to introduce yourselves?
My name's Paul.
I'm Dave.
We are part of a band called Black Orchid Empire. There's another one.
You are missing one today.
Billy's absent at the moment.
He's always absent.
He sends his regards.
So can you describe the band in just 3 words? Maybe not genre-specific words, but creative words, maybe.
Wow. Okay. I wish you'd had this in advance. I feel like...
Why do we not get questions?
I feel like I've been put on spot. I feel like a politician who's going to suddenly admit to something I shouldn't have admitted.
I mean, usually bands are very hard on themselves, and they kind of say, like, really, really shit or something.
Yeah. No, you know what?
I mean, as a 3-piece, we've got quite a powerful lineup, and I don't want to sort of come across too big-headed.
You're going to say you got a big dick now.
No, basically. But powerful would be one sort of word to describe the sort of band and overall sound.
It is, but
not in that sort of like blow you up sort of way. I don't know. It's good. You sort of look at it and it seems a bit understated, and then we sort of hit you in the face with most of the stuff that we do.
Yeah, that's a good one, because people do usually sort of underestimate 3-pieces sometimes.
I think the way to approach a 3-piece is very different to the way you approach more. We used to play in bands with more guitarists and stuff, and we always try and make sure that we're not necessarily all just playing the same thing. We kind of orchestrate stuff out a little bit differently. So quite often, if you think about it, you've actually got 3 instruments and 2 voices. There's quite a lot of different things you can do. So I know Dave approaches bass playing totally differently when it's only me playing guitar and there's no one else doing it. And I quite often don't even play on like verses and stuff. But you just got to make sure you've got enough interesting things happening in your arrangements and
dynamic range.
Yeah, don't know how we've ended up talking about the best way to be a 3-piece band, but this shit. This is what we care about all the time.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, we just make tunes that we want other people to make. We kind of wish other people made the music and we could just listen to it. But like, it's just fun for us. Like, that's the main thing, is we're just making the tunes that we love. And if other people are liking it as well, then that's really cool. But
okay, so should we go with powerful, fun tunes?
No. Because that's the world's worst advertisement. No, I think the 3 words should be never be unprepared.
Which could also be used as advice as well, so that's good.
Just having fun.
Good, clean, wholesome.
Good, clean fun. Yeah, fuck knows, man. Should have. I would have liked some time to prepare that. I could have hit you with a great one, but I've got nothing for you. I've got them out.
Well, I could ask you again at the end. You know, you can maybe have some thinking time.
I refuse.
You'll just email me tomorrow, just like, can you change it to this?
Yeah, edit that in. We'll put it in show notes.
Yeah. So how did you come up with the name Black Orchid Empire?
That's another great question, because no one can really remember. I don't know why no one can remember. Probably because of beer or something.
Yeah.
But like,
loads of words got flown about and joined up and disjoined and all sorts of things. Really, we had
Bills has got some great stories.
He does come back with a bunch. I mean, he probably went through about 100 different iterations of various things.
I think he came out with it. I think he brought it. I think it's like some cult. I think I think it's named after some like deadly assassins in like Israel somewhere or something. It's like it's gonna be something that we wish it wasn't.
Yeah.
I think what happened is, my memory is fuzzy on this, but I think Billy suggested it and we thought it was cool. Now, that sounds fine, but what if it's got the world's worst meaning that we don't know? I think we should look it up.
Yeah.
It's a thing.
Yeah, maybe you should have done that first.
Sounds cool to me.
Yeah. Sounds cool.
Somebody suggested it. We agreed.
It was, but just confirm this: it was never going to be Black Orchid Empire.
It
never, ever.
Honestly, and I don't know why people get that.
Blame the school system, I think.
Well, it's being spelt out or said phonetically, isn't it?
Do you know what the problem is?
Orchid.
It just isn't a word you say very often. But I don't know. It's been announced many times.
Although I reckon there's a lot of money in an Orchid Empire.
Should we start that band as well,
Yeah.
just to avoid confusion? Maybe we can have a little.
They could be like your cover band, couldn't they?
I think that's a great idea. I think starting your own tribute band is probably frowned upon.
Yeah.
Sure.
Would be good.
You can't really do it. You have to be a little. I feel like you need a bit more success than we have to really have like a tribute act.
Be hilarious.
I think we could just get booked as ourselves first, I think, and then we'll deal with the tribute thing later.
But yeah, copyright that name as well, though.
Yeah, good idea. We'll make the website.
All right, so let's go back to the very beginning. What was the first album you guys ever brought with your own money?
Ooh, that's a good question. Now, because we're talking about a different thing here as well, because these days, these kids now, they don't know.
They don't know what CDs are, do they?
Yeah, I mean, like, we're talking physically going to the shops as well. I remember the Bends by Radiohead being a massively important thing when I got that. I can't remember if that's because it's one of the earliest ones I bought. It would have been, I was born in 83, I think I was like 95. I would have been like 10 or 11 or something when that came out. And that was pretty amazing. So I don't know if it was, to be honest, the first record you bought is probably something awful.
Well,
the purged it from your memory.
No, unfortunately, I can remember.
Go for it.
Well, the first CD I ever bought was, I'm actually quite proud of, was Mr. Bungle, Mr. Bungle.
Oh, that's awesome.
Anyone who knows Mr. Bungle can cheer for that. The first cassette that I ever bought.
Ouch.
Was Check This Out 2. It had things like MC Hammer on it and all sorts of crazy horribleness.
But where's it from? Was it like Now?
It was like Now 75 and a half.
Oh my God, amazing.
Yeah.
But it was only volume 2.
Yeah, I don't know why I missed out on number 1. Maybe it just really speak to me.
But dude, if someone gave me a cassette of MC Hammer right now, I'd be pretty
it's probably
happy
worth tons now.
Yeah.
Should have kept it.
Yeah, that's an amazing first choice.
Not anyone's got the ability to play a cassette. I haven't said that. They're coming back.
They're coming back.
Maybe
a lot of bands are doing that, aren't they? They're releasing cassettes and
I don't know why.
I think we should release it on, I don't know, wax cylinder.
Track.
Yeah, high 8. I think there is a cassette thing, but it's more like because cassettes, let's face it, they were a terrible way of listening to anything, but they quite a cool object, like that little plastic thing.
Yeah, they're just iconic looking though, aren't they? It's just
it's hipster shit.
Yeah.
It is, isn't it? It's very hip.
But then, to be fair, it's weird because we complain about all the digital format stuff, but actually I kind of listen to records just on Spotify now. I don't think I haven't really bought a CD for ages.
It's a bit of a pain to go and get a CD and put it in a CD player and then listen to 2 tracks and go, actually I want to listen to another artist now. You've got to take it out, put it back in the case, make sure you don't scratch it, put it back in the shelf, get another one out. I mean, by that stage you've just gone to sleep.
But so it's a thing of the past, but I kind of still really like owning a thing. So I guess that's where the vinyl thing.
Yeah, I think as long as you always buy the bands that you really, really love, if you buy their stuff physically and kind of from them directly, if you can, then that's still supporting the music industry. And, it's not like Spotify is the be-all and end-all. Most people make it out to be like. It's a great way of discovering bands. There's a lot of pros with it, but I can see the negatives that people say it's like destroying the industry, blah blah blah. But,
I don't know if it certainly isn't. It certainly isn't destroying the industry. I think what it's really doing is creating tons and tons of little
making
features.
music more accessible. I think.
Yeah,
it's making it. You don't have to be quite so prepared and get to go out and physically go and buy. So you can literally go want to listen to some music right now and just be really lazy and just type something in.
Which means you're going to listen to stuff
which
you
means
would
you're
never
going to listen
normally.
to more.
Yeah.
So
exactly. Yeah. But
I think
I've had a lot of conversations with people recently, and they're just like so against it, and they're just like, no, just I won't do it.
No, and
sometimes you got to move with the times, eh?
Yeah, but there's also a lot of misunderstandings about it, and we know about this a lot because we're a very DIY thing, and we kind of run our own small label, and we have our own recording studio, all this kind of stuff. So we maybe see behind that curtain a little bit more. But I think a lot of the people complaining are at one end of the scale, are like the industry who used to make a lot of money from CDs and are now not making that money from CDs. But like that was kind of a flash in the pan thing anyway. Or they're at the other end of the scale where they're artists that are getting done over by labels on it, maybe, and that would be really gutting. But if you are truly like an independent, as a lot of sort of rock and metal acts are going to be, if you're pretty independent and you're kind of releasing stuff yourself through like an aggregator or whatever, you can still get that revenue. It's not disappearing. I mean, the most important thing is that you're reaching genuine fan base, and if those people are coming to your shows and that is a real thing, then I think that's to be applauded. I think the problem is that there's also, with all of that, there's a lot more people recording music and putting it out there, and that market's getting saturated all the time as well. So it's just changing. I think that's the most important thing to note about this whole thing, is it's not getting better or worse necessarily, but it's always changing. And everyone always wants to talk about how it was better in the old days, and it's crap now. But realistically,
it was the same kind of thing, wasn't it? It was just a different medium of like distribution, but it was still the same old crap.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm quite glad that the same old gatekeepers aren't quite there. And it's nice that the only way to listen to music used to be the radio, see it live, or like
like those like radio stations really were powerhouses 15 years ago.
Yeah, and it means that if you make Icelandic black metal, you can still have an international fan base, which is pretty cool. Like,
yeah, definitely.
Before, if it wasn't getting played on a national radio station, you weren't going to get a look in. So I think for our genre, I think it's probably a really, really good thing. I think people are still then scratching their heads going, wait, how do you make money from being in a band? But I'd like to go back to 1974 and ask all the people in bands how they're making their money then. They're probably saying they'd like a bit more as well. So I think it's a consistent problem.
Yeah, unless you made like a Christmas single back then, I think that was the only sort of way you made money.
If you're in Slade, you're okay.
Yeah, I think those guys are like millionaires, so they're fine.
I don't think we've got any plans for that.
Well, I mean, if the money dries up, put on some Christmas hats.
I don't know.
Write a little Christmas jingle.
Yeah, well, maybe we should do that.
That's plan B.
Yeah, exactly.
It's further down, I think.
It's quite a lot than B, yeah.
Okay, so you released your debut album, Archetype, back at the end of 2016?
Correct.
So that's
feels like
kind of a while ago now.
Mm.
So what was the thing you were most proud of with your debut album?
We were all really proud of that album, and we still are, because it was very, very DIY. So literally every single part of that was recorded by us and engineered by us and
produced,
mixed and produced and all that stuff,
yeah.
and then physically made up and packaged up, and we got our own distribution deal, and we started our own label. We did all of that stuff ourselves. And more importantly, because when we created this band, it was a decision to basically throw all the stuff we were doing before away and start a new thing together. And I think we're proud of the fact that we saw that whole journey through to completion and went from jamming in a room, which most of those songs on that record, we started jamming several years before the record came out. And it was like, we just kept working away and following through until it was done. And I think just getting it made and actually doing it I was quite proud of that process.
Yeah, I mean, it took about 4 years start to finish. We actually had to take a year off in the middle of it all as well. So it was a long old journey, but totally worth it at the end of the day.
Yeah, and then in terms of the individual tracks, I think Come In is like still one of my favourite songs that we've done. And I really love Mountain on that record as well. There's a couple of really cool, like, it's weird because when you're so used to playing your music live and you hear it a lot, it's hard to get objectivity and like actually listen to it from outside. But with a bit of time passing since we were involved in it, it's quite nice to listen to it again now. Although now I just feel like I want to do better. So when we're making, like, because we're working on the next one right now, and it's like so much better in every way, which I think you need to feel that as an artist, but it's really satisfying. So now whenever I listen to the old record, I'm just like, nah, we're gonna make a way better one. So that's more like a motivator to up the ante. But yeah, no, we're very proud of that record.
Yeah, so you guys are obviously, are you still kind of finishing up on album number 2 at the moment?
Yeah, we are, literally.
We're nearly there.
Yeah, I've got one of the mixes open as we speak. And it's coming together, yeah, quite close.
So is there any information you could give us about it? Are you just keeping silent about it at the moment?
It's all extremely top secret at the moment. But all will become clear quite soon. We're very much hopeful for a 2018 release.
It'll be released in the summer.
Yeah. So keep your eyes peeled, but we can't give you any details, apart from the fact that it is awesome. And to be fair, is that arrogant? You need...
It's only arrogant if you say one of our words at the beginning.
Awesome. 3 words to describe your band. Awesome.
My mum says we're cool.
My mum says that.
Yeah.
So what I will say is, if you've seen us at any shows recently, we've been road testing all the new material. So you probably have heard these songs live, but just not obviously the studio version. So it is secret. Apart from the music's definitely been played. Quite a few shows we played at all the last tour we just did, because we love to take the songs on the road and really beat them up before we put them on a record, so we know where any kind of weak points are or what needs to be changed or whatever. But they were all working really well live. People were kind of singing them back to us by the end of the tour, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
In fact, by the end of the song.
In fact, we were on tour with Head PE in January with 13 back-to-back dates. And the last date in Norwich, there was a guy at the front who got really disappointed because we didn't play anything from the first record.
We were like, you've come for us? I'm not sure if he'd come for us, to full disclosure. I think he was also a PE fan. But he was like, I didn't play anything off your album. And we were like, soz. But so if you've
I hate those types of bands who just totally ignore the first album.
Well, we'll get back to it, and we've got more than like 20 minutes to play. Like, it was a support slot.
Yeah. Okay, I'll let you guys off.
Yeah, thanks. When we do longer like headline sets across this year, we'll definitely be taking from both records. But we really want people to hear it. It's going to be like, that's what I'm most excited about. And let's be honest, a little bit nervous about, because we've got it. We're mixing and we're making this one ourselves. It's not being mastered by us, but it's definitely being mixed by us. So we've got to make sure that it's up to our standards. And I think that's the hardest thing to do, is just to be happy with it yourself. I mean, people who've never heard it before will have their opinion, but it's tough when you've laboured over something for a long time to finally let it out into the world.
Yeah, definitely. Going back to the first album, obviously the music video for This City is pretty amazing.
We absolutely love that video.
How did that come to be, that video?
Well, the good thing about being your own label is that if you want to do something you definitely shouldn't do, you still can. So if you want to spend loads of money getting an anime video done where you get to be, spoiler alert, you get to be robots, then you just go and do it. And we went down, me and Dave, or maybe all three of us, can't remember, we went down to Brighton to meet these guys from a company called Ram Jam. And I think when we first described it to them, they were like, yeah, that's going to be really cool, that'd be awesome. And then they got back to us and were like, it is going to be awesome, but we've just realised it's going to be nearly impossible. So we're not sure if we can do it. And we basically, I think we got them drunk until they said yes.
Well, it was a 6-pint Tuesday lunch.
That's the only kind of Tuesday lunch. So eventually they were like, all right, then go on, we'll give it a go. And it took them like 6 months, because they built that entire city in 3D just for the video, which is kind of bonkers. And they're all big fans of the genre as well. So not the music genre, the like anime genre. So although I found out that Phil is actually like really into like rock and hardcore. But it was a kind of a labour of love for them. I think there was a lot. I think he saw the wrong side of 4 a.m. a lot on that project, the main animator guy. And
how many hours do you think they put into that?
Dude, it was literally someone's full-time job for 6 months.
Pretty much.
At least. And more than one person at times. So it was a lot of man hours and women hours. It was a big old deal. But I mean, look, it's not like a Hollywood movie or anything, but the level of quality they got is so impressive. Because we didn't have anything to do. It was our idea, but they did all the work. And I think we went and like posed for a couple of photos and a bit of video, and they used some live stuff. Yeah,
there was some live stuff used. There was sort of 3D modeling.
Yeah,
some 2D stuff. It was a sort of a culmination of lots of different techniques all brought together, and then there's all the After Effects stuff like the lighting and the slow mo and the shakes and all that sort of stuff. So it's really cool.
Yeah, it never gets old watching that. It's really, really cool.
Yeah, definitely. And just because of obviously the style and just how visually interesting it is, people will just often probably share the video just because of how awesome it is, and just that gets your music out there even more.
It does get used quite a bit,
Yeah.
in people's posts and stuff just about the video.
So would you like to just explain to people who maybe haven't seen it the story that is actually happening in the video?
Okay, well, there's kind of a longer story at play as well, because we did video for Come In, we did video for God Is Wake, we did a video for The City, and we wanted it to be kind of connected. So Come In, there's a sort of a story that we kind of set up about some sort of spies and like the band being kind of tethered up and like analyzed, and like that somehow generating all these weird numbers. And it was like wacky kind of sci-fi kind of idea, and this like secret society. And then the second video we did looked at like the history of one of the characters in that video and how they became this crazy preacher dude. This like toothless old guy in it who's amazing. He's a guy called Terry who sadly passed away not that long ago. But then we wanted to, so then we were like, let's do the kind of future version of that story. So the idea is that this kind of, it's a bit of an Illuminati type idea where they've kind of taken over the world, and there's this oppressive regime in the future where like there's no music and it's really like dull and horrible, and then there's like a band of rebels that start trying to send a message by having this kind of, they sort of like
start an uprising.
Yeah, the character like hacks in and starts this big broadcast on top of the skyscraper. We were kind of, to be honest, the story was an excuse to have us playing on top of the skyscraper. So that was like that happened.
It's like every band's dream, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. In fact, our drummer Billy's just walked in, so he's now taking part.
Okay, awesome.
So he's in the background there. Okay, so then the idea is that there's this kind of evil general that tries to shut it down, calls in the troops, and they end up having this big fight, and they find us and shoot us to shreds, but then it turns out we were all robots. I'm not sure if this explanation is making the story clearer or more obscure.
Well, that's kind of like
that's
kind of like the plot twist, isn't it? The ending where it's revealed you are robots.
And then there's a big scrap, and he gets knocked off the top, and then ends up blowing everybody up anyway. In fact, I think at one point we were thinking about the whole thing being set like inside a video game, weren't we? And then we were like, how many levels of Inception do you need in a music video? But it's super fun, and it's inspired by all the stuff that we love watching. So like the classic kind of animes like Akira and Ghost in the Shell, it's definitely got that kind of flavor, that kind of sci-fi anime vibe.
Yeah, definitely. And that stuff is like really popular at the moment as well. So it's just a very cool thing to do and be a part of as well. Is there any like little Easter eggs in the video? Like hidden things, objects that you've put in there?
We actually ever had a chance to do that, because to be honest, they were running on like a knife edge of trying to get it done in time as it was. If we'd have said like, can you just make sure that, you know, there's some hidden thing in there, they've been like,
no,
what?
I think we originally were going to have things like that, but it was not important enough to meet the deadline.
So I don't actually think there are any little hidden gems in there. There's a lot of detail that the guys put in that's like part of the world that's amazing.
Because wasn't like your actual gear on the setup for where you guys were playing on the skyscraper?
Kind of our rig at the time, yeah. Probably different again now. We've just got an endorsement deal with Zilla Cabs, actually, who are fantastic. So we'd maybe have to go and edit them back into that video. Those aren't our cabs. But yeah, no. So unfortunately not. We should have worked harder on it. I'll ring them up.
They'll just never answer the phone to you guys again, will they?
Well, this again, just because it will take them too long.
Yeah.
They'll be really expensive.
They're just so busy. So busy. So yeah.
So would you ever do a video like that again? Or, you know, if they did answer the phone to you guys?
We'd obviously love to, yeah. I mean, it's always, to be honest, the weird thing is that the bigger things get and the more that goes on, the less time you have. And it's not even a budget thing. It's like just a timing thing where suddenly you need videos within a matter of weeks, not months. And you get to react to things. So like, you know, we'll start to get offered shows that are a different level and they're different times. And you just don't find yourself with as much kind of luxury to plan that kind of thing. So which is all good because it's moving in the right direction. Yeah. But I think it's going to be less and less in our direct control, if you know what I mean.
Definitely.
So I'm not sure, but we'd love to. I think the reason we did it in the first place is because not many people would attempt something like that, and we couldn't find that many other people that had done a similar thing, really. So it was quite satisfying.
I could only think of like Linkin Park, who did a kind of similar.
They did, and I
video.
didn't like that one. It was a weird. It wasn't like a particularly, maybe the style of it, which wasn't the kind
quite
of
old, wasn't it?
Well, I was just dating a bit by the time. Yeah, but that was definitely one thing we saw that was in it.
I think it was for Breaking the Habit. I think.
Yeah. And otherwise, no, I don't think anybody had really done it. So.
Oh, actually, Gunship as well. They released a cool sort of anime video, but it was already from a DVD. I think they just got the footage and meshed it together.
Which one was that?
It's called Fly for Your Life by Gunship.
Oh yeah, but that was all taken from someone's anime already.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. I just
really cool. Actually, that was one of the references we used, but it was just because it was so cool and it worked really well as a music video. But no one would be so stupid as to commission something like that.
no way.
But so that was the plan.
Well, maybe you could do that next time. Just find an anime you really like and.
You know what? Yeah, that sounds easy.
Yeah.
Illegally.
Yeah, just ask the guys who did Ghost in the Shell or something. Yeah,
yeah, I'm sure it'll be fine.
So let's talk about some personal highlights that you've had playing with the band so far.
What do you boys think? What's your favourite show you've done?
I think last year Camden Rocks Festival was pretty decent. We played Dublin Castle. It was packed out there. That was awesome. It was a great crowd, great show. Everything sort of clicked. Otherwise, just on last tour, Cheltenham
was great.
Cheltenham was pretty decent, wasn't it?
I always like playing Cheltenham.
Frog and Fiddle.
That's always wicked. In fact, most of the shows on the last tour were really, really cool. I tell you what, it's funny, but we doing that Emergenza final that we won. That was so fun, wasn't it?
That's my favourite.
When we did because then suddenly, so we won this competition. I don't know if you've heard of Emergenza. I mean, it's kind of like a Battle of the Bands thing, but we did it as one of the first shows. In fact, one of our songs was like the first time we'd ever played it live, and we did this sort of final as one of our first early gigs. And we managed to win it. And it was weird because, you kind of try and stay aloof and stuff. But actually, when they were reading out the who'd won the competition, I found myself, I was like, oh, this is what it feels like to be on X Factor or whatever. And I was like, it suddenly became like a big deal. And then when we won, we were super, super stoked. It was amazing. And we got to go to Germany and play like this massive festival out there, which was really, really cool. Some insane bands. That was amazing. That was really, really wicked. Yeah, that was super fun. To be honest, just being able to do this is like reward enough, really. I think that it's always amazing. To be honest as well, I love the process of like being in the rehearsal studio and actually writing the tunes and working together, because when you get a new idea and it really locks in, that's always the best time. That's always the time that song sounds the best, and you're trying to get back to that point on the recording when it's like that nice little spark of a new idea. That's always really cool.
Now, craziest or funniest moment?
I've managed to fall off stage on like the fourth show. Last tour, I kind of put my foot on a monitor to jump into the crowd, except the monitor just rolled straight off stage, and I went up like both feet up in the air like a cartoon character, and landed from about a meter up onto the monitor wedge on my ribs.
Yeah,
and I don't think I actually stopped playing. Really, I kind of stumbled across, but it wasn't like, when someone does something and it's outrageous and it's kind of cool. It wasn't cool, like an absolute idiot. And
like a newborn giraffe,
a gazelle, and I just, it really, really hurt. It was horrible. And for the rest of the tour, I was like limping around, not being able to lift anything because I'd smashed myself up. So that was pretty fun. That was pretty. But we're not really like an outrageous band. To be honest with you, I think the age of the outrageous band is over. Like those guys who try and do that now, it's just. I heard a story recently about a band that completely trashed a venue accommodation, right, in Scotland somewhere, and they're now blacklisted from like everywhere in the world. And I think with the way everything is now, you don't get any points for trying to act like a big shot and being stupid. Everyone's just really down to earth and cool. Even the big bands that we meet, they're very rarely like prima donnas. Really, they just get on with it and they're having fun and they're doing their thing. So I think you don't really get outrageous moments. Apart from drunken outrageous. But they're not like, no one smashes up hotel rooms and throws things out windows anymore. It's like, I don't know who you would have to be for that to be okay, but probably actually Axl Rose.
Yeah.
I feel like we're definitely not in 1987 anymore.
No. All right. So normally during the podcast, we like to play a track. So I'm going to leave it up to you guys to decide what track you want to play.
If you get them to play Mountain.
Yeah, Mountain doesn't get played.
It doesn't get played, and it's awesome.
Yeah, Mountain.
would you like to start about Black Orchid Empire? Obviously, it may or may not be true. We'll never know.
Have something. You must have something.
I'll get killed.
I think the rumor should be
Just
that
at a party.
this is being recorded right now.
I can't quite make that out. So you might
So that's the rumor right there.
That was a phone call. I'm in trouble.
So we don't know what that rumor is, but it sounds amazing. He's left the room. He's gone.
He doesn't trust himself.
Did that rumor just start with "I was at a party"? ...
Yes.
That's so good. This is so funny. At least it's not live. You can edit that shit.
You can edit that out. Please edit that out.
I actually didn't get any of that anyway. I couldn't really make it out.
We'll just pretend that didn't happen. I think the rumor we should start is that Billy actually died in 2001 and was replaced by an android.
I think he's 230 years old. It doesn't come from this planet.
Definitely doesn't come from this planet. No, there's enough rumors, I'm sure, about all of us already.
Would you like to dispel any, or?
There really isn't.
Well, no, that would just be either confirming or denying.
Yeah, that's
I was never engaged to Katie Jane Garson.
Who's that from? From Queen Adrena.
Yeah, because she wanted to marry me. She was telling everybody I was going to marry her.
There you go. Well, that's not even from this band, but it's still a good rumor.
Are they still going?
I don't know. Queen Adrena's still going. I haven't seen
going
them
down for sure.
They're doing something. But so you were never engaged to her, that's good. I'm glad.
No, and Marilyn Manson was frightened of me.
Really?
Well, when they went out together, he used to ask her, "Could you ask Billy to sit somewhere else because he intimidates me?" Look at this white guy with one blue eye and one fucking husky eye, with roadkill literally pinned onto his coat, telling me he's afraid of me.
Yeah, well, he's not stupid.
Couldn't believe it.
There you go. Marilyn Manson's afraid of you. Let's start beef with Marilyn Manson.
I think that's the best rumor ever.
I actually really, really like Marilyn Manson, so he's welcome
That's a
to
true
be a friend.
story.
That's actually not a rumor, though.
That's not even a rumor. That's confirmed.
All right. So, do you have any advice for up-and-coming bands?
You know what? I should give him the same advice that Billy gave to me when I was like, "Do you want to start a band?" And
Are you fucking crazy?
He's like, "No." It's so much more work and so much more expensive than you think it's going to be. That's the real thing. Like when you're like 10 and you're learning an instrument, you think it's going to be really cool to be in a band. It's ridiculous. It's such a massively complicated and it's amazing. It's totally worth it, but it's so much more work than you ever think it's going to be.
Yeah. Add 5 years to any predictions you're having.
Exactly. It takes so long and it takes so much more work. And it's like when someone says, "I think I'm just going to go and like have a look up Everest." You know, they kind of, and for some people, I guess it happens really organically and really easily. But mind you, I think the kind of people that it happens like that to don't tend to make it that far or last that long, because you need to be prepared for like going on the road for weeks at a time and all those kinds of things. And if it happens, I just imagine being like 18 and being put on the road for 6 months or whatever. How the hell would you keep sane? You wouldn't. You don't. So I think just be prepared to work really hard. But also, if you don't absolutely adore what you're doing, don't do it, because you won't want to. Like, it's the hardest thing in the world to do when you love doing it. So if you have got any doubts about the music you make being your absolute passion, then just don't fucking bother. There's no point.
It's just an email.
Is that Marilyn Manson?
Yeah, that's Marilyn Manson saying.
I heard what you said.
I'm still terrified. That guy
Has he left the room yet?
Amazing.
Last question now. Guilty pleasures. So that's songs or artists that you secretly love, that you might be a little bit ashamed to admit that you like.
I'm not ashamed of anything I like, but I don't like anything shit.
But why kind of...
I like Hank Williams.
Yeah, man, that's awesome.
Is it like there's any bands that, you know, the other guys would probably rip you for liking?
I don't know.
It's pretty scary.
I mean, Dave is a bigger Mr. Bungle fan than anyone really should be. Like, but that's not.
I'm not ashamed of that.
No, that's the problem. But it's not like that's really a bad thing. I think, I don't know. Because we work in music all the time, because we're all producers and writers and stuff, and there is literally no time in my life for listening to anything that I don't really want to listen to, because I have to listen to other people's stuff, which I don't get to choose, obviously, because I'm working on other people's projects all the time, which is great. But I very rarely listen to music outside of sort of the working day. On my way home, if I've been working on a tune for 8 hours, the last thing I want to do is listen to more
Relax
music.
and listen to.
Yeah, so I normally listen to podcasts, to be honest with you, and they're all insanely nerdy and geeky and about like how to EQ your snare drum and stuff, which is awesome.
Wow, there's podcasts like that as well.
Oh, hey, there are podcasts for everything. Trust
I
me.
listen to
I
Alien.
know there's podcasts for everything, but I didn't know that.
Alien.
Yeah,
Wow.
Joe listens to like the ones that are all about being abducted by UFOs and shit. And Dave doesn't do anything. He just goes into a coma. No, I mean honestly, like I love pretty much all different types of music, and I think there's something good to be found in most genres. I'm trying to think if there's something that I think is amazing, but I really shouldn't think is amazing.
Any like cheesy pop music you just really
I love cheesy.
love
Thing
to
is,
put
like, I
on?
make cheesy pop music all the time. Like I love cheesy pop music. It's just
What's like your favourite?
he's killing it right now. He's like an insane.
Right?
Yeah.
You know what? The best album, probably the best, like most well-produced album ever, is Justified by Justin Timberlake. You know the
I was gonna
Timberland
say
one.
that. I was
That's
Oh
come
my-
up a few times actually.
That is like an insane record. Not that I actually listen to that on a regular basis, but I can just remember it. Yeah. I don't mind people knowing that. I'm not ashamed of that. That sounds amazing. But other than that, like I don't know.
I mean, we usually get
I'm ashamed of
Justin
like-
Timberlake, ABBA,
what's his name?
Robbie Williams comes up a lot as well.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Who is she? Shave him dry.
I don't know, man. I can't remember the
She's
name.
my favorite though.
Oh god.
Next question.
We should move on.
quickly.
Yeah, we should move on before he finds his link.
All right, well, that's the end of the interview.
Oh, okay.
Hey, I want to say something. Lucille Bogan is one of my favorites that I'm ashamed that she's one of my favorites.
You're not
Okay.
ashamed of that.
Lucille Bogan.
Is she the one from like 1930?
Yeah, she wrote a song called Shave 'em Dry.
Your listeners should look
Is that on
up.
Spotify?
It's on YouTube.
No, look it on YouTube. Shave 'em
Okay.
Dry. And you'll see why I'm embarrassed.
All right, there will be a link in the description to that
Yes.
video.
Hey, cool.
Outrageous. That's some outrageous vintage shit right there.
All right, so where can everyone follow you guys on social media?
Probably the best way is just head to our website, which is blackorchidempire.com, and all of it's on there. We are Facebook/Black Orchid Empire. Just
Search.
you'll find us.
Yeah,
You're going
it's
to find
easy.
us.
It's
We're annoyingly omnipresent.
Yeah, there's no other bands called Black Orchid Empire.
Even Orchard.
Not yet, anyway.
You should be able to find us.
Should I read you the first lyric of
No.
that?
Let the people find it on their own, man. That's going to be a good surprise for
Let's
them.
put the link in the.
He'll put the link in the show
All right,
notes.
sure now. All right. That's Lucille Bogan, Bogan.
There you go.
Okay, I'm definitely going to check that out. All right, thank you to my guest, Black Orchid Empire.
No worries. Thank you,
Yeah,
man.
thank you, man.
So you can follow Local Distortion on Facebook as well. We're on Twitter, Instagram. We do like behind the scenes stuff. So we do acoustic sessions in our studio with bands coming in. We do loads of podcasts with upcoming bands. We do live studio sessions. We do loads of stuff. We've got loads of original promotional content from the best up and coming bands around, really. And we've got t-shirts for sale as well. So yeah, that helps support the channel. All right, guys. Cheers. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, mate.
All right, thank you. Bye.